First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk, will you please read the roll?
Council President Collins.
Here.
Council Vice President Healy.
Here.
Councilwoman Clow.
Here.
Councilwoman McAtee.
Here.
Councilman Veely.
Here.
All members present.
Item number 4 on the agenda is the approval of minutes of previous meetings. Letter A, the work session of December 8th, 2014.
I make a motion to approve the work session agendas from December 8th, 2014.
Second.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? By a count of 5-0, the motion passes. Letter B, regular sessions, December 8th and December 15th, 2014.
I also move to approve the regular session meetings dated December 8th and December 15th.
Second.
Second by Councilman McEntee. Any discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 5-0. Letter C, closed executive session, December 8th, 2014.
Again, I make a motion to approve the closed executive session that we met on December 8th of 2014.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion carries 5-0, and we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we do approve the consent agenda as outlined in our package.
No, excuse me, we need to remove consent agenda 8G, which comes under communications.
All right, I hear a motion.
Okay, yes, I have to agree with that. Yes, you're right.
Motion to approve.
So I move that we approve the consent agenda as amended with the removal of communication 8G.
I second that.
Seconded by Councilwoman Healy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the consent agenda is passed as amended. And that brings us to item number 6 on the agenda, licenses. Letter A is a resolution granting a holiday sales license to Gossip Inc., doing business as Beatnik on 94 Main Street. It's subject to approval by the Fire Chief and Communications Superintendent. The application is by Janelle Figley, 55 Pinecrest Drive, North Kingstown, Rhode Island. Continued from December 8th. Is Janelle here? Hi. Please. Yes, please come speak into the microphone. Say your name and where you
Hello,
live.
hi, I'm Janelle Figley. I'm a North Kingstown resident. I'm new to your town council meeting here, so thank you for having me. I have 2 other businesses, one currently in Newport, Rhode Island, and another in Wickford, Rhode Island, and I'm looking to bring a fresh new flavor here to Wakefield with opening Beatnik at 94 Main Street and Gossip at 94 Main Street. So we've already begun construction or changing paint colors and things on the Beatnik side. But the building previously was most recently known for the Tetzner campaign. So it's a standalone building, so we're hoping to, just get approval and change it into a nice community center. I do have the fire information too. I'm not sure if you guys got forwarded that, but I did have someone come out on 11/21, and they said that they would forward it to the fire marshal, but I have all the paperwork if you need to look that over.
I don't think we need to see that.
Okay. Okay, great.
What do you have in your shop? I've been driving by and dying to go in.
Yes,
so-
no, I know. Well, it's all evolving still, but our plan for the whole building is actually The right-hand side will be Beatnik, and it's a Boho Beach lifestyle brand boutique. So we'll have new and upcycled clothing, so new pieces, but also pieces, you know, upcycled pieces from designer samples in LA and New York. I've done all new clothing in my other Gossip stores, so Beatnik's kind of just a further extension and an outreach to the art community. There's a lot of local artwork there, pieces made by local designers. It's really just an extension of the coolness and kind of a little bit of an organic growth for us. And then Gossip will be going in on the left side, which is really well known. We've been in business for 8 years now with Free People is one of the brands that we carry, and you know, definitely has a nice loyal following. And the upstairs, we're hoping to create an artist cooperative where people can join for a monthly membership, $5 a day, and come and co-create upstairs, and then host monthly gallery nights showing off their work on the Beatnik side of the building. So the whole building, we're looking to really create kind of a community center, or even if you're not shopping, you can kind of come and hang out and peruse. So we're really excited.
That's a beautiful location. That was a flower shop for a long time. It's a beautiful location for you.
Yeah, thank you. No, we're excited. There's not really walking traffic, but there's plenty of parking, so I'm excited to be here. Everyone's been really nice to us.
Janelle, where is your business in Newport?
Newport, we're on 391 Thames Street, a block and a half past the Red Parrot.
Oh, yeah.
So we're on Lower Thames there, and right now that's more of a seasonal location for us. We're open select weekends, and then we usually reopen around March. So the Wakefield store, the plan is for it to be, you know, 7-day-a-week store like our Wickford location right now.
And where is the Wickford location, right in downtown?
Wickford is 16 Main Street.
Oh.
We've been there for 8 years, and in Newport for 7.
Very nice.
So yeah, we're excited.
Have you had much luck yet on getting in touch with the artist community around here?
I've actually been very busy with my other stores, so I got in there and rehabbed it as much as I could. And I'm an artist myself, so I've been involved in a lot of holiday shows and having my stuff shipped out to different galleries through the holidays for different holiday shows, but no one really knows I'm an artist, so that's kind of another extension of me. But I'm on the board of directors at Wickford Art Association, so I have a lot of people interested. I just haven't been able to honestly follow up with all the excitement yet.
How would artists get in touch with you to express interest? Could they email you, or?
Right now, the artists, I'm asking them to send me an email at sales@shopgossip.com, which goes directly to me, and just in the subject line, write artist. And that way I can communicate with them directly, because we do have private studio space available for rent too, towards the back of the building.
What made you decide to come to South Kingstown? You're in North Kingstown, you're in Newport, obviously extremely good areas, and we're hoping this is going to be a fantastic area for you.
Yes.
But what made you decide to come here?
Well, I love this community in general, and I've been overwhelmed and humbled by everybody's acceptance and just welcoming of me, way more than I even had expected. But, you know, I have been to All That Matters. I know a lot of people in the community, just even that have already shopped in my other 2 locations. And honestly, since I've opened the doors in Beatnik and been working on things, it's made me want to move here because everybody's been so nice. But I think it's a really good fit for us. It's a natural extension. We put the focus on Beatnik to start, which is more of a natural, organic growth for us. So it's bringing a new flavor. There'll be men's and women's fashion there too, and art and things that we just don't have room for at other locations. And we have plenty of people that travel from South County to us as a destination store, mostly in the Wickford location, that have been dying for us to come to this area. So it's really been basically a response to the demand, and the right opportunity with the property kind of came together where we felt like it was meant to be. So happy to be here.
Thank you.
When do you plan on opening?
As soon as possible. We've been, I have a manager that went to University of Rhode Island that has been with us for 6 years, who's managing the Beatnik location. And right now we're just working on kind of getting Gossip in there too, because that does have great brand recognition. So we're hoping to, once Gossip's in there, we're going to have a great grand opening party, and then probably hope to blow out the front windows so it looks like a store, big front retail windows, and then we'll have, you know, a community VIP party. So that's our plan for the near future. But I mean, Leslie's in there working. She has, you know, the door open when she's in there, but we'll really throw a fun grand opening announcement when Gossip's in there officially, too.
Great.
Any further questions?
I move approval of new license A.
Second?
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. By a vote of 5-0, the passes unanimously. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you
luck.
for having me. I hope to see all of you.
I can't wait to come in.
Yay, thanks.
All right, letter B under licenses is a resolution granting a holiday sales license to Brainwave's Toy Shop, 49 South County Commons Way, Wakefield, and it's subject to approval by the Fire Chief and Communications Superintendent. Application by Vanessa Paniccia. I'm sorry if I mangled that. 72 Bramblewood Lane, Wakefield. Is Vanessa here?
Hi, my name is Vanessa Paniccia. I'm from South Kingstown. That's perfect pronunciation, which very rarely happens. So I am recently I've taken over Brainwave's Toy Shop from the previous owner of 10 years. It was located in Narragansett, and for those of you that are unaware, I'm relocating it right now to South County Commons. This is a very last-minute process that we have worked out, and the reason I've relocated South County Commons is it's really the terms that I could negotiate with South County Commons versus Salt Pond Plaza were a little more agreeable. So I'm working on building that location now, expecting to open February 1st with a grand opening March 7th and 8th. I sell educational toys and books. The reason I'm looking at the holiday sales is more for those days where, as a parent of 4, I know there's some holidays like New Year's Day that doesn't mean a lot to me. My kids are on vacation. I'm looking for projects, things of that nature, a last-minute toy to kind of entertain and occupy for a couple hours. That's really the reason that holiday sales permit interests me, is for some of those days like that. Not all holidays am I interested in being open, but that is where I'm at. I'm looking forward to opening in this new spot. I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm excited to be a little closer to home.
I can say so many people in the community are so thankful that somebody picked up that ball and ran with it, because people would have missed that toy shop a lot. There's been a lot of excitement around you opening it and reopening it. And so the community, I think, is thankful to you for doing that. I think you're going to be very successful in the South County Commons area. That's great.
I think so too. It's right next to Hierco. It's convenient parking for everybody. They've been great to work with, and like I said, there's definitely people in the community are really excited about it. I'm excited about it. I was bummed myself. What do you mean you're closing? And that's kind of how we got in the conversation, because we were acquaintances. And so the more I thought about it, the more I worked it out. And so I think just it'll be a good thing for the community in general. There's a lot of, and for the Commons. I think it's nice to have a toy shop in there. People can come. It's a standalone. Its business has its reputation already. It can bring people in. I have a marketing background, and I'm comfortable continuing to work on that, because that is always something that you need to do just because it has its name. But also, it's all fresh new product. She sold it right down. I'm building it back up. It's already starting to come in. So we should have nice, fresh products, everything for people to be excited about, to kind of carry forth they'll have a reason to be excited.
Excellent.
So things.
And I also wish you well. I have to say that because I have to tell you, you are a champion of social media, and I'm on Facebook. You've been on Facebook a lot, and I have seen that. And another great way, not the best way always to advertise your business, but you're reaching out to the masses. I wouldn't have known that if I was not on social media. So you've done a great job for that.
Thank you. Well, I'm trying to, it's one way is also as a mother, and just any parent knows this. Sometimes it's the easiest, depending on how you're busy, it's an easy way to keep up with the world, and sometimes those sponsored ads, it's an easy way to reach an audience that can't always get to a newspaper. And then, that's obviously, it's another way, but it's just, social media isn't, sometimes it's an easy way to touch that market and just let people know, hey, we're opening, even if it's a quick blurb, we're
Well,
open.
be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
That's important.
Thank you.
All right, do I hear a motion?
I move approval of new license B.
I second that.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion
Thank you.
carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck. She's cute.
That brings us to item number 7 on the agenda, which is a public hearing. I'll need a motion to open the public hearing. It is a public hearing relative to an application for expansion of a license to keep and sell alcoholic beverages in South Kingstown in accordance with the general laws of 1956, as amended, as follows. Class B victualler liquor license, application for expansion of a Class B victualler liquor license filed by 629 Succotash LLC, doing business as the Matunic Oyster Bar, 629 Succotash Road, Wakefield, RI, by Perry Razzo. Managing member, applicant requests permission to expand the area in which alcoholic beverages may be served to include a second-floor dining area approximately 52 feet by 17 feet in accordance with a special use permit granted December 17, 2014 by the Zoning Board of Review, and is further defined in an amended site plan dated June 30, 2014, on file in the town clerk's office. Said expansion is contingent upon the total number of seats remaining at 80, compliance with all town ordinances and regulations, the payment of any municipal taxes and user fees in arrears to the town, and the correction of any fire code violations. Do I hear a motion? Oh, okay, sorry. All right. Mr. Razzo, it appears you have counsel here.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Donald Packer. I'm an attorney in South Kingstown. I'm representing Perry this evening, and with me is Perry Rasso, the principal of the company. This is an application to expand the liquor service to the second floor. In 2012, we went to the zoning board to get a second-story addition added to the structure. Perry wanted to remove an office which was encroaching in the parking area, put it up on the second floor, and also be able to relocate some seats from the lower area to the upper area so he could open up some interior space for a waiting area, particularly in inclement weather. Unfortunately, in 2012, he didn't ask for the 56.1 alcoholic beverage approval from zoning, so we had to go back to zoning. In December, we got that approved, and now we're here for the expansion of the liquor license into that space. We're not expanding any of the seating in the restaurant. We're relocating seats from the downstairs area to the upstairs area. The downstairs area where there was seating, we're setting up the hostess stand, and there's going to be a standing area for people to be able to wait inside for seats. If you've ever been to the place, the entrance is towards the back, comes in, the bar's right there, it gets pretty congested, and the entrance is going to be, recently, if you've been there recently, the handicapped access goes up, the entrance is going to be in the front. We're going to put the hostess stand in the front, we're going to put the waiting area in the front so that it clears out the staff in the kitchen area and waitresses moving back and forth. That's the concept. We're not expanding any seating. If you have any questions, we're certainly here to deal with them.
Questions? Well, my biggest concern is just that it might put expanded pressure on parking now that you have two sort of bar areas, and people, of course, like to be at your place, Perry. So, you know, you're going to have more people standing around drinking rather than sitting at the tables potentially. Is there any plan for maybe having that increased parking need?
We don't really feel like we're increasing the capacity because the people are going to be waiting inside as opposed to waiting outside. So we're not actually expanding, as we view it, the capacity of the space. We're just relocating the dining areas. The parking, according to the ordinance, is based upon the seating, and we have allocated 60 parking spaces. As you know, we do valet parking right now, which is actually better than the parking plan that we got approved by the zoning ordinance. We don't really have any ability to expand any parking.
Yeah, I realize that. And I think you're well within all the regulations and stipulations here. I'm just saying, as a matter of concern, I would see it as almost like a second bar that's being opened up, almost. You have the bar that's there in the waiting area, and then you have the bar that's outside. So potentially you could have more people standing and enjoying the oyster bar that way, rather than getting in to sit down and eat. And those people are going to have cars too, so I just feel like if you have all the people seated at the tables, you're going to have, or you have all the people standing at the bar, drinking, enjoying themselves, it just might be a little bit harder, I'm saying.
We already have a bar as you come in.
Right.
This is the oyster- So people stand there, but now they're standing right in the way. So if you've been there, the wait staff and the kitchen staff are struggling through that area. So we're trying to reorganize that area so the people that are already standing at the bar are going to be standing in the waiting area, obviously with access to alcohol, but not standing in the way.
So will there no longer be an outdoor waiting area? It used to be over on the side there.
No, in the summertime, they're still going to have the picnic tables outside.
They
Yeah.
will. You know, you have great problems to have, which is, you know, not enough parking, not enough space because of the popularity of your place. I'm just concerned that sometimes the people that are waiting, that road is so narrow and it's already so congested that the safety of the pedestrians and overflow coming out, I'd like to see them in as much as possible in that area, so they're not out near the road. I think we have to be careful of pedestrian traffic right there.
Perry and Dunn, we're just talking about indoor seating, right? When we're talking about 80 seats, we're talking about indoor seating
Yes.
only.
Yes.
We're not changing anything outside.
Correct.
Because you have another, I think, 40 seats out there. I'm speaking off the cuff. I don't know how many seats you have outside. But, so you're taking 38 seats from downstairs and putting them upstairs.
Correct.
Okay. And then that reduces your downstairs to, 42 seats. And then you're just going to increase your waiting area is going to be indoors. Are you going to change the bar at all on the first floor? Is that going to remain the same little square, or?
No, it will be an L-shaped bar rather than the U-shaped bar it is currently, and this will allow me to move it over to the, towards Succotash Road, inside, of course, towards Succotash Road and away from the water, making more of a lane for people to come in and out of the kitchen. I did want to correct one thing that Don said is about the outdoor picnic tables. We no longer have the picnic tables in that area, but the idea would be to change the bar and kind of keep the same theme with the map and such, but it's a wooden bar that's been there for 5.5 years that really needs to be redone, so we're going to make an L-shaped bar that goes down towards Succotash Road and away from the water.
That seems like a good idea. And you do get an awful lot of congestion right when you walk in the door, standing in front of that bar. No one can move, so I can see the issue that you have there. But, no, it looks great. I like the upstairs.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And the only other thing, there was some issue with the trailer you have out back. I don't know if you guys have addressed that with the building inspector?
We do have a permit for the trailer because it was a temporary trailer until we could get a certificate of occupancy for upstairs. So we're waiting to get the CO, and then the trailer goes away because he can move the office upstairs. It should be gone in a couple of weeks. It is in an area where there is supposed to be some parking, but
Right.
we also eliminated from the original building the actual office space that had been in the parking area. So if you reevaluated the parking layout that we have now, it's actually better than what was approved by the zoning, but we haven't gone back to adjust the numbers.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
I might, what was being referred to by Councilwoman was a January 6, 2015 correspondence from Mr. O'Hara to Mr. Rosso concerning his inspection revealed that there was a deviation from the approved parking plan, and that was relative to the temporary office trailer and storage trailer, which was encumbering spaces. And Mr. O'Hara's directive on the violation notice was that the temporary trailer and storage container be removed from the premises, and that he be directed to utilize the approved parking plan as it's submitted to the zoning board, or submit an alternative plan that meets the conditions set forth by the zoning board. So that is in process. That letter was just, I guess, delivered last week. They are aware. I mean, should the council be inclined to approve the requested expansion, you make, and there was, the clerk had provided a draft resolution, if that was the inclination of the council. It could be further conditioned to correct the NOV notice of violation dated 1/6/2015, issued by the building official, who is here as well. Mr. O'Hara could certainly speak on.
Any further questions from the council?
May I address that? We did get a notice of violation from Mr. O'Hara, and we did revisit the parking plan that was approved by the zoning board. And my concern is I don't want the liquor license held up as a condition to resolve the parking layout. The reason for that is, when we went to the zoning board and got this parking plan approved, Perry did not own a strip of land which was in the state right-of-way. Since that time, he's purchased that from the state. We did an administrative subdivision. It's part of his parking lot. Mr. O'Hara's letter addresses parallel parking along the road that we can't do because we've pushed the interior parking lot further out. The reason for that is because we do mostly valet parking, and valet parking is more efficient rather than following these squares that are on this plan. For us to revise the plan to either add more squares or adjust the squares would make us have to go back to the zoning board and revisit that. And we don't want to be held up on the liquor license approval. We also have a number of perpendicular parking spaces in front of the restaurant, which replace 6 parallel parking places along the road. We can fit more cars perpendicularly than we can fit parallel. So we admit that we're not following this plan, but a number of changes have taken place since we went to the zoning board and got this plan approved. We think that the parking that we have is more efficient. As I indicated, there's an office area that's shown on this site plan which has been removed, so we actually have more space interior. We're prepared to address Jeff's concern and his violation. I really don't want it as a condition of the expansion of the liquor license, because it may take us, we may be required to go back to the zoning board, reapply, have another hearing. That could be 2 more months. So we understand the concern, and we're going to address the concern. We really would not like to have that as a condition to be able to open the upstairs.
Anything?
What do you think about that, Vin? I mean, if we approve the liquor license contingent upon compliance with all town ordinances and regulation, and the remedying the notice of violation, I mean, that's what we would ordinarily do.
I mean, I merely bring it up because it was contemporary to the circumstance being just issued last week.
But if they get the trailers and the whatever else is out of there, do they definitely have to go back to the zoning board with another parking plan? They shouldn't have to, if it hasn't changed.
I mean, I'm not trying to
Jeff,
obstruct
now?
the process, but I would say that the 2 issues of the storage trailer and the temporary office are one thing. The third issue was, I mean, that was a plan submitted as an exhibit to the zoning.
It looks like Jeff's lining up over there to
So I would just say, any future expansion will probably have to look at that parking plan again. Do we have any other?
Why don't we hear from
Jeff wants to
Jeff
say.
on this?
The violation notice was, states in the last sentence that, to remove the storage trailer, temporary trailer and storage container and utilize the approved parking plan as submitted, or submit an alternative plan that meets the conditions set forth in the zoning board of review. So if the applicant can submit an alternative plan other than what was approved, and it meets the conditions that were set forth for the number of parking places, and again, a part of that was, part of the decision and the discussion was that there would be no backing out onto the state highway because they had parallel parking in that particular area. Now, how much of that is, really a significant condition upon the approval is kind of up in the air. But, it's, if they can submit a plan that we feel is, meets the letter or the implication or the intent of what the zoning board approved, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
So they just need to submit it to you, Jeff,
Well, yes, but,
and you can
it
discuss it with them.
has to be accurate. The parking dimensions by the zoning ordinance is so many square feet by so many square
Right.
feet, and the area applied for it, plus they've already received 2 variances for the parking. And if they utilize valet parking, which they can squeeze them in a lot closer than the average person pulls into the parking space, and they don't want their doors bumped, justifiably so. But the valet people will, they can squeeze a lot more cars in there than the average person will park
Yeah.
in a regular parking lot.
So you need them to get the trailers out of there and just submit a parking
Absolutely.
plan.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's wasting
Right.
at least 5 or 6 spaces that just aren't available.
Mm-hmm.
When they were, having construction going on, needed a place for his office,
Right,
that's fine. I issued a permit for that trailer. There's a storage container there. They have to move stuff out, move stuff in. It's all part of the construction project. That's not unheard of. But,
And we're only looking,
I would think that those areas have to be, or those 2 trailers have to be removed and open up those parking places that's shown on the plan. And it's, makes perfect sense to me, but
yeah.
I'm not Mr. Packer either.
Well, is there any way you can expedite this, Mr. Packer, Mr. Rasso? Get the trailers out of there so that if we do it, I mean, we're kind of in a bind here. We have to approve contingent upon you remedying the situation with the notice of violation and,
I understand. I do plan on, I have people and myself moving the office and the things that are stored in that trailer, in the office trailer, I call it. There's office and restaurant storage in the office trailer. That's all being moved up, to the kitchen area, even as we speak. The construction, I don't know, the storage unit that's there, I will talk to the contractor. So it will be, we're planning on having everything moved out of there by the end of this week. If we can get that company to pick it up this week, it'll be this week, if no later than next week. That office trailer, the big, one on wheels, and then the construction trailer, I'll talk to the contractors. They can have it out of there by the end of the week as well.
so you're ready to go, move upstairs and open, like ASAP?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So, I mean, but we have to abide by the rules of the ordinances and the building inspector, and as soon as you comply, I can't imagine anybody here wants to hold you up,
Yeah, I think if we go back to the zoning plan, which is attached to Jeff's notice of violation, and we put parallel parking and eliminate perpendicular parking, and we comply with this plan, then Jeff's going to have to sign off on it.
So
This is
you're
a-
talking about the parallel parking that you have on the road?
Yeah.
I thought that was gone anyway. I thought,
Yeah, it is, because we push the parking, we push the lot parking out towards Succotash Road, so we have more room for valet.
right,
And then on the left side of the plan, in front of the restaurant, we've been doing perpendicular parking because we can fit more cars.
Right.
If we go back to this plan, then Jeff's going to have to sign off. It's a crappy plan, but at least we'll be able to go forward, and then we can resubmit to zoning or Jeff or whatever to sign off, because this little, if I may approach,
We've got copies of that, John.
folks need to understand that this part of the building right here doesn't exist anymore. This all came off, so this is all open area.
Yeah,
So the whole site plan,
you should show them,
the
too.
whole site plan is a little different. This is more. This part of the building is more. So we have more
Parking and
parking, we have more space to provide more parking.
And all of this is not, they no longer do this.
So that we can show what we have on site and what's available. So if we go back to the original 60 spaces and we eliminate the perpendicular parking and we actually squish everything back in and put some parallel parking on the street, which is a crappy idea, Jeff should sign off on us, and then if we have to come back with a revised plan, we'll come back with a revised plan.
Well, you're going to have to talk to Jeff about that one, right, Jeff?
I wouldn't be adverse to having them, revise the site plan and the parking plan, and also, the council, if they so choose, to, rather than hold up the gentleman's business, is that, I don't issue a certificate of occupancy until the site plan is submitted, and
will this have to come back before the council then, once you approve it?
well, it depends on the council's decision. If the council decides that, I can issue the certificate of occupancy for the expanded area, you can make that contingent. I'll defer to legal counsel on that. But
This would
what
not
we
have,
can do with that, it's rather than have it going back and forth, if they submit a site plan, a parking plan that answers the question, it's conceivable that you could avoid that.
whatever conditions are imposed, if the council decides to grant this license application, the applicant will not have to come back and appear before the council to prove compliance. But if the council receives information that the applicant has not complied with any of the conditions, then the council would have to investigate that.
Thank you. Any further questions from the council? Comments from the public about this? Please come to the microphone, make a statement, ask a question.
So we can vote on approving it contingent on, okay,
Contingent upon.
right.
All right, then it goes back to us. Are we prepared to
Well,
make a motion?
Don, do you have something more you want to say?
No, we're here for the liquor license expansion. If it's approved with usual conditions, then we're going to have to get Jeff to sign off on the parking plan, but we don't have to come back here because it's just moving the liquor license.
Right.
Okay, do I hear a motion to
So I
close?
think
Well, we need a motion to close the public hearing, so I'll make that motion.
I second.
What?
I-
Oh, we already did that.
I did.
We did that.
Yes. Oh, yeah, sorry. We heard that there was none.
So I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
So moved. All in favor of closing this public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
President,
Aye.
the town clerk's memorandum dated, the deputy town clerk's memorandum dated January 6th had provided a draft resolution in this regard. It's towards the bottom of the page. And, Ms. Holborn had indicated that to memorialize the conversation that's occurred to this point, it could be added to it, would be contingent upon the submittal of a parking plan approved by the building official and reviewed by the trailer and storage units.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the request for an expansion of the liquor license at the Matunic Oyster Bar. Said expansion is contingent upon the total number of inside seats remaining at 80 compliance with all town ordinances and regulations, including the submission of a parking plan, and approval by the building official, and removal of the trailer and storage bin in the parking lot, and the payment of any municipal taxes and users' fees and arrears to the town, and the correction of any fire code violations.
Second?
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Welcome.
Good
The
luck,
motion
Carrie.
carries 5 to 0 to 0. We will now take up item number 8, communications. And letter A is a communication dated December 5th, 2014, from Roland Benjamin, requesting a charter amendment to be put before the voters in 2016 to allow for nonpartisan local elections. It's received, placed on file, and the town council further directs.
I would make a motion that we refer this communication to town legal staff to advise the council of our options regarding this.
I second that.
So moved. Any discussion?
I think that it's something that should be put to the public. I appreciate Roland coming forward with this. I'm anxious to see what the town solicitor comes back with, but I do ultimately think that it is something that would be up to the people to decide. Whether it's a partisan election or not, I think it's something that's been on the forefront of a lot of people's minds, and I appreciate Roland Benjamin bringing it forward.
I have to totally disagree with that. I believe it's the right of the voters, the right of the candidates to know if there is a party affiliation for any candidate, and if a voter believes in the ideology of certain parties, whether it be Democrat, Republican, moderate, independent, they have the right to know. It's just another part of the fact-finding process for any voter. It's also the right of a candidate to come forward and represent their party and have their party endorse them or not endorse them. And there's a remedy for anyone who is not happy with a political affiliation. They can run as an independent. I don't see why deny a person who wants to be a Democrat. I'm a Democrat, always have been since I was 18 years old. And I'm probably, the first president I voted for was McGovern, believe it or not, right? He didn't win. But my right to run as a Democrat should be preserved. The public's right to know where I stand on basic political issues. My party designation tells you some of that. It's part of the information process for any voter. When you go to a ballot on Election Day, especially when you have like a presidential election or a governor's election, you have, you could have 100 candidates you have to look into. This helps people sift out who they want to vote for, who they don't want to vote for, who's more aligned with their general beliefs, whether it be liberal, conservative, independent. And I think all the choices are out there. And I think this election showed more than any that party designation didn't matter that much, especially locally. So with that said, I believe that the Democrat, Republican, moderate, independent, everyone has their right to run with their party or with no party, or the voters have a right to know who's running with the party that they affiliate with. So I don't see any need for this.
Thank you, Councilwoman McEntee. With regard to the motion at hand, though, this is just to send it to the council for options that would be available to the council.
I agree with that, Abel, and I would have gone along with that, except Rachel decided to make a statement, so do I.
Well, I'm personally very proud to be a Democrat as well. I just think that when someone brings it to the table saying...
One person brought it to the table. One person in the community has brought it to the table.
And that's all that it takes, is
Well-
one person to say, hey, would you consider putting this out there? And that's all he's saying. Would you
Well, we're
consider
not
putting this out there
yet,
to
though,
a
Rachel.
vote?
We're just talking about letting
That's all we're doing.
legal counsel look at it. So we're really not arguing it tonight.
Well, apparently,
Well,
we will when it comes up.
started it. You brought it up.
Councilwoman Healy.
We also We're part of the elimination of the master lever here, so you know that we won't have that right in the next election. But I am also proud to be a Democrat as an endorsed Democrat. And I chose to run for that party because I believe in the convictions of that party. I'm not saying that whether you're an independent, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a moderate, whether you're a Republican, that it really matters. But if you believe in the conviction in which you run, I would not want to have to take that designation away from my name, because I run on the premise that I'm proud to be a Democrat. I guess that's all I have to say. I do understand Roland's point about nonpartisan elections. I think if you're a person who is going to get a vote because you have sincerity and conviction, you will still get that vote. But I would hate to have to take that designation away from my name based on something that I believe in. That's what I have to say.
Meg, you may ultimately be right, and the public may agree with you, but I believe they have a say.
And that's up to the public. It's not up to us. Right.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about the public, you're talking about putting on the ballot, so it sounds like you've already made your decisions. But I think it's very curious that this is coming from the chairman of the South Kingstown Republican Party, that this is requested by him. Whether or not he's still chairman, I'm not certain.
Thank you. If there's no further comments at this time from the council, I'd invite comments from the public. I see that Mr. Benjamin is here. Right. Would you like to talk about this? Communities?
Well, thank you for listening and discussing this. I appreciate it. And I technically am still the chair of the party, and I don't, I'm not even sure if I wrote that in the letter. I may have referred to that. If not, you all know who I am anyway. In some ways, I wrote this as a candidate, and I wrote this as a chair. I've been involved with elections here and in the public process for the last 6-8 years. 3 election cycles as a chair, one prior to that helping out a couple campaigns. I've tried, in addition to putting my own name forward, I've tried to recruit candidates to have someone represent my own types of views. I've gone to people to ask them to run with me or with the party label to try to build a kind of party. And I've actually seen, and I referred to this in the letter, I've seen strictly the party label be the rationale for people not running. What I'm suggesting is not to. There's nothing to say that as an individual candidate you cannot say that you're not allowed to say what you are. You can advertise, you can do whatever. All I'm suggesting is that this doesn't become part of the public process. Even beyond that, what I'm asking you to do, and I believe from discussions that I've had directly and indirectly that it doesn't necessarily even need to be referred to council. This can be put onto the agenda, even as soon as tonight, onto the next agenda, without having a report. But the point that I'm trying to make is I represent a part of the town that has almost never had representation here because of nonpartisan or a two-party system that leans heavily towards a 55-60% majority, to the point where because of that 40%, 35% minority, we have 0% elected at a local level. And that begins to feed on itself and makes it harder to get someone to stand up. You looked at the ballot for school committee in the last election cycle. 4 candidates running unopposed. It's not because I didn't try to recruit people. It's not because we didn't try to recruit people. It's because people are unwilling to run in a system where they have to put these labels up behind their name. So right now, the label in and of itself, it's not saying you can't put it there, but what this does do is it provides that insulation for someone who is willing to serve but is unwilling to become a part of a two-party system. It goes even beyond, I know we have two that ran as independents. Even in that structure, you know as well as I do among voters, there's a spectrum that people put in their mind between left and right, right? It's way more complicated than a one-axis spectrum. We all know that. We're all thinkers. But in general, that's how people put it. And they put independent just as something in the middle on that spectrum. And that's not necessarily leading. We also know that in a state like Rhode Island, the label in itself doesn't necessarily map ideologically to what is a national issue or what is even a state issue when we're talking about local things. Councilwoman McEntee, I've listened to you say some things that would have, I was thrilled to hear. Things like when you talked about expanding the liquor license, the idea that the council doesn't pick winners and losers. I remember that specifically. That doesn't map directly with a central planning ideology that I would associate with the Democrat Party. That doesn't mean you're not a Democrat. I'm just saying these issues at a local level don't match all the time.
Are you talking about Perry Rasso's expansion?
No. I'm talking about years ago when we had, by population, we could add another liquor store. And your point was that it's not the job of the council to figure out who's going to, quote, win in the market. Right. To me, that is something I agree with completely. And that's my point is that on a local issue, there's not a clear left and right if you look at the platforms of the parties at a national level, which is what voters will project onto a local candidate. That's why I think it's important to...
I have to stop you there, Roland, though. We do tax. Number one, taxing is different for both Democrats and Republicans. If you look at the national policies for Republicans and Democrats. I mean, so you have to look at all of these things. It depends on what we're talking about. Where a Democrat might like more affordable housing, more social services, a Republican may say less government, less involvement, less taxation. We do a lot
totally
of that
agree.
right here.
I completely agree with that. And if you look at the 15 people that put their name in for the last town council race, I would say that on any one of those issues, you're not going to see someone line up with check boxes all the way down on the left or check boxes all the way down on the right.
Well, I'm not suggesting that every person is like a clone to the party, excuse me, but many of the basic ideologies, I'm sure you embrace many of the basic ideologies on the Republican side as I do on the Democratic side. So why take that away?
Right, but I don't want to gain or lose a vote because what someone thinks my opinion is on our troop status in Iraq.
Then
That's
you
my
can run
point.
as an independent.
But
you could have run as an independent if you feel that the Republican designation.
But I've
was
already
gonna hurt you.
described why even that still sets up a third bucket that isn't necessarily even communicating. And even beyond this, we're arguing what might happen in the event that this goes to public vote, and we could have a discussion about whether we should have that. All I'm asking you is to suggest putting it in front of the public.
Right.
It doesn't sound like you're willing to let the public make that
How do you want to put it in front of the
decision.
public? A public discussion? What are you looking for?
The
A
same way
vote?
Middletown just did it in the last cycle. You just put a charter
Middletown
amendment.
didn't do it.
I'm sorry, I have to advise the council, I was incorrect. Mr. Benjamin's letter was correct. Middletown did adopt it through a charter amendment. So that will take effect, nonpartisan elections will take effect in Middletown in the next election cycle.
Just so you know, Roland, we had just heard that they did not adopt it, so
That's- and it-
this
it-
is just clearing it up.
That's fine. And that's basically that's all I'm asking.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Benjamin? All right. Any further comments on this motion? All right. All those in favor of sending this letter to legal counsel to see what our options are signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Letter D is communication dated December 9th, 2014, from Jeffrey A. Broadhead, Executive Director of the Washington County Regional Planning Council, requesting the appointment of a town council representative to the WCRPC for the 2014 to 2016 term. It's been received, placed on file, and the town council further directs.
We discussed this at the work session, and I move that Abel Collins be the town council representative and that Rachel Cloud be the alternate.
Second.
So moved. Any discussion? I would be honored to serve on the planning council. I think I can help them get some things done effectively for the whole region and hopefully for the town as well. So thank you for that motion.
I'm happy to stand in as your second if you can ever not attend.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? signify-
Aye.
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 Okay, the motion carries 5-0. Letter F, a communication dated January 5th, 2015 from Mel Wathen on behalf of South Gansett Girl Scouts requesting a proclamation recognizing Girl Scout Week, March 8th through March 14th of 2015. It's received, placed on file, and the town council further directs.
I approve this motion, and you're signing up a proclamation. I know they want to come to an upcoming town council meeting. I think that would be something that we definitely should advocate, so I make a motion that we approve item number F. Yes, if that was in the letter that they had said.
Second?
So moved. Is Mel here to talk about it? Okay. Any discussion on this item? All right. All in favor? signify by saying
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Yes, and that brings us to letter G, a communication dated December 6, 2014, from Guy Lombardo concerning the assessment of interest penalties on late tax payments. It's been received, placed on file, and referred to the town manager for response. The town manager is not here tonight, regrettably, but Vin, maybe you can speak to this issue a little bit.
That's him.
Thank you. And Mr. Lombardo, could you tell us?
If I may, I raised essentially 2 points in my letter to you. The first is that if you look at it in general, the late penalties at the rate of 48.4% per year, which I think, I'm not an attorney, but I think there are usury laws that prevent, for example, the credit card companies, if you're late, cannot charge you more than something like 18% per year. And yet here we are charging 48% per year. Then I had a second issue with the penalties as calculated, and that is with regard to real estate. so that the penalty is assessed at that 48% per year level, not only on the amount that may be due that quarter, but they are assessed for any future amount in that year. And so in this instance where I was late on the first quarter, the total amount of the penalty for the entire amount amounted to 145% per year. People go to jail for charging that kind of interest. And regardless of the technicalities, it would seem to me that in terms of fairness, that charging these kinds of interest rate equivalents is unconscionable.
Thank you. I must admit that I'm not an accountant, so I have not looked at all the numbers and know them well. But I think our town manager is going to look at this and
And the unpaid interest is charged on the unpaid balance when a late fee, and that would, that would be the unpaid balance depending on the point of the year when the late charges were incurred. But the interest rate, well, the percentage rate was 4.04%. It's based on a 12% per annum on the unpaid balance. That is as defined by state law, within the parameters of state law, as well as the town's tax resolutions that are adopted as part of the budget process.
Excuse me? Excuse me, you said it's not 12% per year, the charge.
Per annum, yeah. 12%, yes.
Well, that would be 1% per month. 12% per month, if I divide by, per year, if I divide by 12, is 1% per month.
It is at 12% on a yearly basis, and the tax collector, it is not 48%. I mean, it's, I personally did not calculate these things, but the tax collector was in, that's her responsibility, and had reviewed it, and it is indeed accurate in accordance with state law and the town's tax collections policies.
I know a little bit about math, and not to contest the issue, but it's 4% per month, which is 48% per year. I don't know how you get 12% out of that. Really don't.
Is the tax collector here by any chance? No. Okay.
If it were 12% per year, I would not have written the letter in the first place.
I guess we don't have a clear answer for you here, but
Finn,
tell me, like, what happens is when someone is late, say with their first quarter payment, the entire thing becomes due and owing, the whole year's worth of taxes. Then you have to pay the interest on all that is due. Is that correct? But then you can still...
I can read to you from the resolution adopted on April 28th that outlines the, the procedures. In part, if the first installment or any succeeding installment of taxes is not paid by the 10th business day following the last date of the respective installment period or periods as they occur, then the whole tax or remaining unpaid balance of the tax, as the case may be, shall immediately become due and payable and shall carry, until collected, a penalty at a rate of 12% per annum from August 1st, 2014 for real estate and personal taxes, and at a penalty rate of 12% per annum as allowed by the laws of the state of Rhode Island for motor vehicles excise tax. Upon payment of any and all delinquent quarterly installments together with the interest accrued on the full unpaid balance of the tax, the right to pay the remaining taxes on the installment basis will be reinstated. That was adopted as part of the tax resolution, adopted last April as part of the budget process for the town.
With all due respect, that's not the numbers that I read. And maybe it'd be good to get an accountant to look at the numbers, because what happened in my instance, which I assume is what happens generally, is that the amount as you say, the full amount becomes due and payable, but they charged a penalty on the amount that was not yet due. How
Right.
can you charge a penalty on something that is not overdue?
Well, Mr. Lombardo, that's the way it works. So when you miss your quarterly payment, they tax you, they penalize you on the entire year's worth of taxes. I mean, that's the way the statute reads, and unfortunately, that's what happened to you in one missed instance.
Well, if it is legitimate by law that 148% tax is appropriate, then we ought to change the law.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how you came up with those numbers, but I'm not disputing them.
Yeah,
I
no.
just-
I mean, what I quoted were the specific numbers, and all you have to do is divide one number by the other.
Well, it's my understanding that the tax collector is in the process of putting a package together for you, a letter with all the town ordinances and the state statutes and explaining the whole thing to you. So hopefully that'll help you and it'll resolve your issue. If not, come back.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
And I would also suggest at some point, if you are not satisfied, that you go in and speak with somebody in the tax department. I have had actually one or two more people bring up an issue about this as well, and unfortunately, I wish we could change the state law, but we can't.
Well, you know, as a taxpayer, one concern that I would have is if some aggressive attorney decides to do a class action suit, I think there is a risk there that we could lose on these assessment issues. And I would hate to have to pay that bill.
Well, thank you for bringing it to our attention. You'll be in touch with the town. If you want to approach your local representative, your local senator, they can try to address things at the state general law level. That they're probably open to hearing from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we need a motion for this.
I move that we refer it to the town manager, refer communication G.
I second.
So moved. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, by a vote of 5 to 0 to 0, that will be sent to the town manager. All right, that brings us to item number 9 on the agenda, which is comments from interested citizens. Please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, and say your name for the record, and let us know what you're thinking.
Hello, my name is Alicia Collins, and I'm the parent of a special education student in the district. And I've just been really concerned about recent cuts to our special education programs, and I just wanted to share some of the observations with you. Based on Dr. Stringfellow's report presented at December's joint town council and school committee budget meeting, and first of all, I know I should share this with the school committee, and I plan to, but I'd really like to get the council's support if I can. So Dr. Stringfellow presented at December's joint town council and school committee budget meeting the number of special education students being identified in our district, which essentially means the amount of special education students qualifying for IEPs and receiving support. It's dropped from 18% in 2009 to 12% of the population receiving special education services, and it's a really short time period. In 2008, the district employed 599 people at the school district. As of 2014, the district employs only 500 people, which is a huge amount of position cuts over a very short time period. Over the last 5 to 6 years, our schools have lost 41 teachers, 5 therapists, 2 student counselors, 25 teacher assistants, and numerous other positions. I'm not sure if any of you read the article about Mary Lou Alford recently in the paper. She's a teacher assistant at Matunik School, but she's highly qualified, and really, teacher assistants do more than we could ever say for our town. The Rhode Island Department of Education issues yearly district report cards to every district in the state, and the proficiency rates of both general ed and special education students see a dramatic decline over the 2008 to 2014 time period, especially at the high school level. In 2008, the graduation rate in the district was 97%. By 2014, the number dropped to 89%. In 2008, general education students were 94% proficient in English. In 2014, that number dropped to 89%. In 2008, 77% of disabled students were proficient in English. And in 2014, that number falls to 44%. In 2008, 91% of general education students were proficient in math. By 2014, the number of general education students proficient in math is only 62%. In 2008, 66% of students with disabilities were proficient in math. By 2014, that number dropped to 14%. It's interesting that proficiency scores have dropped substantially, along with a decrease in support for special education students. Are there students in our district who should qualify for special education but don't receive the support they need, and so they are artificially lowering the test scores of general ed students? Is it possible that the special education students who aren't receiving support they need from a teacher assistant are now demanding more and more time from general ed teachers, impacting the amount of material a teacher can get across to all of their students? Have cuts to special education staff, for example, teacher assistants, therapists, and special educators, is it impacting the quality of our district's special education program, thus explaining the deteriorating proficiency scores of special needs students? There's a national crisis in meeting special education needs, and I just wonder how our district, in such a short time period of 5 years, decrease the amount of students receiving special education so fast and cut so much support staff. I've shared my concerns with administrators, and their response is always the same. The reason for the staffing cuts are based on the budget. I've heard time and time again that positions have to be cut as funding declines, and it's just, we're in desperate times. We have to cut these programs. And I've been hearing this for years, and I believed that it was true until Dr. Stringfellow and the school committee unveiled the new budget drivers for 2014-15, and it includes new programs that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I'm just perplexed, honestly, by this. So before this budget is passed, I'd like our town officials to consider whether or not these costly programs are going to address the slipping proficiency scores of all the students in the district. The superintendent of Charahoe Schools was recently awarded Superintendent of the Year for his commitment to closing proficiency gaps, and over that same time period, students' testing scores have been going up in the Charahoe district, all students with disabilities, without disabilities. Recently, other parents of special education students in the district have reached out to me to share their struggles with attaining special education supports for their children. Some advocated fiercely for their student to be qualified for special education, but grew tired of the fight. One mother told me she ended up homeschooling her child. Another told me that she put her house on the market so that she could move to a district where she could receive the support her child needed to access his education. The feedback I'm getting most frequently is that SK once had a really solid special education department, but that it's gone downhill over the years. So if there's any money in the school budget to be spent, I just ask that the town as a whole really kind of considers this and considers hiring back some of the high-quality professionals that were haphazardly eliminated over the past 5 years, instead of introducing more costly programs. Teacher assistants, for example, are inexpensive for the town to employ and provide immeasurable benefits to students. A teacher assistant is essentially a teacher, they train with teachers for years in their job, and they become almost as proficient as a teacher. And a lot of younger students don't even really know the difference. It's like they can just lean on someone for support no matter what. So I just think that we really need to consider what we're doing when it comes to the budget, and I hope you guys consider this as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, please do. Any other comments from the public?
Keith Warhaven. I have an advocacy in association with Healthy Places by Design, and it 'tis the season for snow on sidewalks, so I feel compelled to come forward and go. Remember, I always grouse about removing snow from the sidewalks, and since there's a new council, some of you haven't had the pleasure of my spiel. I've always advocated for having something on the town books that says the snow should be removed from the sidewalk. And I understand the position that forcing somebody to do that could put their health in peril. I fully acknowledge that. And I also have heard that placing fines to enforce it would also be derogatory in my opinion. I don't advocate for forcing anyone to do it, nor do I advocate for fining someone for not doing it. My concern and my advocacy is for having something onto the books, because by not having something on the books, I feel like it's a tacit acceptance to leave the snow on the sidewalk. And my concern is for pedestrians that they'll slip and fall and get hurt, which is the exact advocacy for not having the snow removed. So I hope that can be a consideration if and when you have an opportunity to move forward with adjusting the ordinances. My understanding of the ordinance as it exists is it's pretty simple and straightforward. It says you're not allowed to block the sidewalks. Can't park your car on them, can't have a lemonade stand on them, et cetera, et cetera. And I also understand that having snowfall is certainly not the property owners blocking the sidewalk. I understand that distinction. Having said that, when you plow High Street, you do plow the snow onto the sidewalk. So it's an interesting dichotomy, and I fully understand that we have to have the roads cleared. I get that. But if you could at least have some ordinance, or at least bring some awareness to the cause that there are citizens that are having difficulty getting down the sidewalk with them snow covered, and they end up going into the road. At any rate, I don't have to hallucinate on the safety issues associated with here. So your thought and consideration on the issue would be appreciated. Thank you.
But you can speak later. Any further comments from the public? Comments from the council?
I would just like to say to Keith Warhaven about the sidewalks, that's certainly an issue that I had over the years with the kids walking to school. There's, kids within a half mile of living, surrounding the school are supposed to walk to school, but when it snows, they can't be on the sidewalk. I do think clearing the sidewalks is a huge issue, because I did see the kids then in the street, which is not what we want. So I agree, it's absolutely an issue. I always do try to clear my own. I'm right on Columbia Street as well, and as soon as I do, the plow comes by again. So it's not just a one-time out there, but we certainly should be mindful of that and the safety issues it raises as well.
Any other comments from the council? I would just say that we're lucky to have made it this far through a town meeting without Steve Alford here to help guide us through it. Our condolences go out to him and his family. He's here because of a loss in the family, so we miss him. And we'll move on to the town manager's report with that.
Other than to note, on Wednesday evening, there's the, I believe it's at 6:30, a CIP number 3 jointly with the school committee for discussion, so that'll be in these chambers at 6:30 on Wednesday night. If the council has questions on other aspects of previous reports, I will endeavor to answer them to your satisfaction.
Doesn't look like there are any questions. So with that, we'll go to the town solicitor's report. We're also without his services tonight, but Ms. Goins, thank you for ably filling in his spot.
Yes, as the council knows, the solicitor is out of the country. Actually, I think he's back in the country now, but he'll be returning to the office this week. So I will certainly communicate with him about what occurred at this meeting.
Thank you. All right. Item 12 on the agenda is appointments, and we have a few to make. Letter number A is a resolution appointing Richard Jerzyk to the zoning board for a term to expire in March 2017. Do we have any discussion on that?
Do you need a second?
Are you making the motion?
I make a motion to approve item 12A, appointing Mr. Jurzak to the zoning board for a term that does expire in 2017.
Second?
So moved. Any discussion?
I think we're certainly lucky to have him. He was very qualified, and he will be an asset to the community.
Alternate two.
Alternate number 2.
Well, I concur with that. If there's no further discussion, all in favor of...
Aye.
Aye.
All right. It's unanimous. Richard Jerzyk is the new member of the zoning board. Item B is for the tree warden.
I also make a resolution to appoint Bill Wallace, who has served this town for quite so many years, as the tree warden for the town of South Kingstown for the year of 2015.
Second.
So moved. Any discussion on this? No. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Bill Wallace is, again, the tree warden. Letter C is a resolution appointing the membership of the Saugatucket Veterans Memorial Park Commission for 5-year terms in accordance with the charge adopted July 14th, 2014, as further described in a memorandum from the town clerk to the town manager dated December 16th, 2014, and entitled Veterans Memorial Commission. The members will be James Weinrich, James of the American Legion, James Torgy, Jr. of the Vietnam Veterans of America, 325, Thomas Browning, who's original commission member, Stephen Stewart, VFW, an original commission member, and Gloria Stewart, VFW Ladies Auxiliary.
So moved to...
Second?
That's okay.
Sorry.
Oh, that's good, so moved. And Carol seconded it, so...
Okay. All right, so moved. Any discussion on this list?
I'm really excited to get this memorial commission going and get the names on that monument. It's going to be great.
Yeah, very good. It's about time.
Yeah, certainly.
I think we're all in agreement.
They have a tough job. They have a tough job
Yeah, they
finding
do.
them all. They really do.
It'll take them time,
It's
I
not going to be easy. They better get a few helpers on their committee.
Yes, good luck getting those names, everyone. And if people in the public out there watching have names, come forward and let us know. All right, so we have a motion on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries unanimously. That brings us to item number 13 on the agenda, new business. Letter A is a resolution authorizing the purchase of 25 sets of emergency medical services rescue personal protection equipment from Shipman's Fire Equipment Company, 172 Cross Road in Waterford, Connecticut. It's in an amount not to exceed $33,625 and is further described in a memorandum from the Director of EMS to the Town Manager dated December 9th, 2014, and entitled EMS Personal Protection Equipment Purchase Recommendation. Vin, can you?
The town manager in his report had indicated concurrence with Mr. DeMello's recommendation, and I would simply add that further memorandum, a significant portion of this expenditure would be covered by an Assistance to Firefighters grant. So the town cost share would be $3,363, and the total bid award as recommended is $33,625.
Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve item 13A as stated in our agenda items.
A second.
So moved. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Letter B is a resolution that would appoint special legal counsel to represent the Zoning Board of Review, sitting as the Planning Board of Appeals in connection with the appeal filed by Roland Fiore of the Planning Board's denial of master plan approval for a proposed multi-household land development project located at 571 Main Street.
We
Go ahead.
We discussed this at the work session, and 2 names were submitted to us, Mark Hayden and Peter Ruggiero. Peter Ruggiero is the less expensive of the 2 attorneys, so I move that we appoint Peter Ruggiero. Both of them, by the way, were very qualified.
I second.
So moved. Any discussion? All right. All in favor of appointing Peter Ruggiero?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries unanimously, 5-0. That brings us to letter E, a resolution authorizing the renewal of annual software support fees with TriTech Software Systems of Dallas for the period January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015, in an amount not to exceed $17,260, and is further described in a memorandum from the police chief to the town manager dated December 30th, 2014, and entitled TriTech IMC Software Annual Support Fees Recommendation for Renewal. Vin?
Yes, as noted in the chief's memorandum, this is a renewal of a contract for specialized software relating to various police services that are provided. Here again, I would note that there is a portion of this cost which would be covered by a grant, so there's a renewal to keep keep this software in working order for the benefit of our public safety personnel.
Thank you. Any motion? Do I hear a motion?
I move approval of new business item 13E.
I second.
So moved. Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries 5-0. It's unanimous. Letter F, a resolution rejecting all bids received on June 12, 2014 for EMS South Station renovations as further described in a memorandum from the Public Services Director and EMS Director to the Town Manager dated December 22, 2014, and entitled Bid Recommendation, Public Services, Building Generator, and Electrical Improvements.
I make a motion that we approve item F as presented by President Collins.
Second.
Ben, do you have anything to add about this?
Well, the motion is to reject the bids for the construction at the Public Services Building relative to the EMS facility, and I think the bids that were received were over the budget, and in querying the bidders, it was determined that some of the uncertainties that caused the cost to be inflated related to the circumstances with the electrical service at the building, and I believe the subsequent items on the agenda seek to address that such that this item could be readdressed on a more
Okay, Ben, I think I was
better
mistaken.
basis, yes.
I think I was mistaken because I think we discussed at the work session rejection of the bid to reconsider on G and H, but we also need to include F in that as well?
I thought
Just
we
F.
were rejecting F and accepting G and H.
Right.
Right, okay.
Because G and H relate to improving the circumstances for F
Separate
to be
them out.
considered at a later date.
So once G and H are done, then they will. come
Then they'll
back
go
with
out to bid
bids.
again on F.
Right.
All right.
So the motion stands. Any discussion?
It's been a dream of mine to reject all bids.
Yeah, I have
Well,
to
you get
agree with
one.
that now.
All right.
I retract that motion.
We have a motion. All in, any further discussion? No. All in favor? of-
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. It passes unanimously, 5-0. Item G is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Nolan Electric Incorporated, 62A Danielson Pike in North Situate. And it's to furnish and install a natural gas emergency generator set, automatic transfer switch, and electrical upgrades at the Public Services Office Building in an amount not to exceed $90,500, including a $5,000 contingency, and is further described in a memorandum from the Public Services Director and EMS Director to the Town Manager dated December 22nd, 2014, and entitled Bid Recommendation, Public Services Building Generator and Electrical Improvements.
As noted, this is to address some of the electrical issues interior to the building, as well as a new generator for the facility. And the managers concurred with Mr. DeMello and Mr. Schock's recommendations in this regard and suggest affirmative consideration by the council.
Do I hear a motion?
I move approval of new business item G.
I second.
So moved. Any discussion? All in favor of item G, signify by saying
Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Letter H, a resolution authorizing an award of contract to National Grid, 280 Melrose Street, Providence, for construction services for the Public Services Building natural gas line improvements per contract specifications in an amount not to exceed $12,837, and is further described in a memorandum from the Public Services Director and EMS Director to the Town Manager dated December 22nd, 2014, and entitled Bid Recommendation, Public Services Building National Grid Improvements.
Here again, the town manager has recommended concurrence with Mr. Schock's and Mr. DeMello's recommendations in this regard, and this, will facilitate the generator, which would be a gas generator versus the diesel generation that they use presently at the facility.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
I will have to abstain from this vote because of a conflict of interest. My husband works for National Grid, so I cannot take part in this vote.
I don't think you have to do that.
I don't know if it's recuse or abstain.
Does she have to do that?
I personally don't, but my husband, well, I do because my husband
but
works
it's-
for National Grid.
That
This-
is, it is up to you whether you believe you
If I can vote, I certainly will vote,
No,
but
I'm-
if my husband,
The Code of Ethics does impute conflicts among family members, such as spouses.
my spouse works for National Grid, so I don't think that it would be appropriate for me to vote. Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept Resolution H.
Second?
So moved. Any discussion? No. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries 4-0 with one recusal. Letter I, a resolution authorizing an award of bid to EC Industries Incorporated, 7 Samuel Rodman Street, Peacedale, for improvements to Tuckertown Park restroom facility in accordance with all bid specifications in an amount not to exceed $18,848, including a contingency of $1,000, and is further described in a memorandum from the Director of Leisure Services to the Town Manager dated January 5th, 2015, and entitled Bid Recommendation, Tuckertown Park Restroom Improvements.
The town manager does recommend award to the lowest qualified bidder, as noted in the agenda, and I would also point out that these improvements were discussed as part of the capital improvement program for this well-used facility at Tuckertown, which will provide good improvements for the benefit of the public, utilizing our nice recreational area at that location.
I move approval of new business item 13I.
Second?
So moved. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries 5-0 unanimously. Letter J, a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Santa Buckley Energy, Bridgeport, Connecticut, for the purchase of unleaded gasoline for January 1st, 2015 to December 31st, 2015, and to further extend for up to two one-year terms at the Oil Price Information Services daily low price, Port of Providence or Boston, plus the increment of 0.0497 cents per gallon, in accordance with specifications as described and awarded by the town of Smithfield on December 19th, 2014, as further described in a memorandum from the financial controller to the town manager dated January 6, 2015, and entitled Statewide Municipal Gasoline and Diesel Fuel Award Contract. I think I should have said $0.0497 per gallon.
The Town manager's report indicates concurrence with Mr. Xavier's recommendation in this regard. The .0497 per gallon relates to transportation costs, overhead, and profit, and the memo indicates, that the low daily price is what, so it's really the delivery cost to the town and the profit for, so this is a group bid organized through the, I guess, the purchasing agents in the state, and the town is benefiting from this effort.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
So moved. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, the motion carries unanimously, 5-0. We are on to our last agenda item, letter K, a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Superior Plus Energy Services, 12 Heilstead Street, Providence, for the purchase of ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel from January 1st, 2015 to December 31st, 2015, and to further extend for up to 2 one-year terms at the Oil Price Information Services daily low price, Port of Providence or Boston, plus the increment of $0.0321 per gallon in accordance with specifications as described and awarded by the town of Smithfield on December 19th, 2014, and as further described in a memorandum from the financial controller to the town manager dated January 6th, 2015, and entitled Statewide Municipal Gasoline and Diesel Fuel Award of Contract.
The town manager's report indicates a concurrence with Mr. Xavier's recommendation in this particular regard. This is a companion for diesel fuel to item J, just voted upon.
I move approval of new business item 13K.
Second?
So moved. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody, for coming
Motion
out.
to adjourn.
Second.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
At 9:10, this meeting of the town council is adjourned.